Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Being Brown and Bold podcast. I am your host, Jess Thomas. We're so glad that you're joining us for all our amazing conversations about stepping out of our comfort zone, being bold, and taking chances. Today, I am chatting with renowned Indian chef Ajay Chopra. The renowned chef is also a consultant, a media personality that has completely transformed the world of cooking with his innovative approaches and exceptional talent. He hosts the popular show MasterChef India and also has launched restaurants around the world. He was born into a Punjabi family in Lucknow, and his passion for diverse flavors ignited at a young age, shaping his love for food. He's won medals, he's in hospitality, and they provide guidance to hotels, restaurants, and cafes. And his influence extends beyond culinary adventures. He has a YouTube channel, so you can totally learn recipes from him. And his series, The Big Daddy Chef, encourages men to explore their culinary skills at home and create cherished family moments through food. Chef Ajay, it is so great to have you here on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, as well as thank you for such an elaborate version of me. I didn't know that, this information exists about me. So thank you.
Well, I think that sometimes we're so caught in doing our daily work and we don't always realize the influence we have on people in such a positive way. I know for me, watching you, I've been influenced in a positive way. Part of it is just your joyful demeanor and just seeing how that comes through, not just through your food, but through the way you communicate with people. So that's very important. And I'm glad that you do that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A lot of people listening to this are from the US and may not be familiar with you. So let's start in America, because it's such a melting pot. If the name is not of a European background, sometimes people have difficulty pronouncing the name or even understanding what it means. So tell us about your name, how to pronounce it properly, what it means.
Well, I don't think I have to do much for my second name, because we have Priyanka Chopra Jonas doing the work for me already. So my second name is already popular in the US. So my first name, Ajay, when I was living in London, everybody would call me AJ, which is fine. But AJAY literally means someone who cannot be defeated. I don't know why my parents chose this name, but I love this name. So yeah, that's what it means.
That's cool, because I feel like the path that you're on is kind of undefeated. You just keep coming up with what we would say in the US, coming up with home runs all the time.
There's only so much credit that I could take in this entire thing, because I do say that, the joy of the Lord is my strength, as well as it is God's grace that enables me to do so much in a day, where I think about myself. I feel short and I fall short of what all can I do. I don't think I'm capable of doing all what I'm doing right now if it is not for the grace of God. So I think this is what is my life right now.
That's amazing. And I think that also shows your humility. I think there's a lot of times we can see people who are successful on the outside and don't understand that inner working that God might be leading, showing, revealing. So that's amazing. So as I'm thinking about you and people who don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself besides your official bio? What does it mean to be Ajay?
Well, I think Ajay came from a very small home, who lived in many cities across the country. Ajay was 9 years old when he first made a cup of tea for his mother. Ajay was very interested in cooking right from that age. Ajay had no idea that he's going to become a chef, because being a chef wasn't very popular in India at that time. As soon as Ajay entered the hotel school, he was very sure that he wanted only to become a chef. And I think it's been a journey of 25 years that it's been amazing, because apart from working in hotels and restaurants as a day job and as a chef, even reaching to the heights of becoming an executive chef, sometimes I found myself completely unexplored. That's the reason when God prompted us to come out of a job and come into our own business. That's what we were thinking, that what can we do? And there came this huge gap in India at that point in time where people had the money, but they did not have the know-how how to create restaurants. And that's where we opened this company called Zion Hospitality, where we started to understand what do people need, what do our clients need, what kind of a restaurant they need, and what can we give them as a sustainable. We've opened one restaurant in Minnesota. It's called Rag.
Oh,
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
not know that.
yeah. So we've done that. We did that in 2019, just before COVID. The restaurant's still running and doing very well, and it's a modern Indian restaurant. So we started that restaurant. Now someone else has taken over that place, but we also have two restaurants in Abu Dhabi which are currently running. We are opening one in Dubai. In fact, two in Dubai. More to open across borders is what we are thinking, and that is something that we are busy right now with. So I don't know if covers everything that I do, but yeah.
I mean, if you want to open another restaurant in the US, come to Tennessee. We don't have in our town what's called Knoxville. We don't have any Indian restaurants here that I would say is amazing. So please come and open an amazing restaurant here.
Sure.
When you were little, what did you imagine your life would be like as an adult?
Well, I think all of us, have dreams. My parents wanted me to become a doctor or an engineer, which is very typical of Indian parents at that time. So I don't blame them. My heart was towards architecture, and I wanted to become an architect. Did not know that I'd become a food architect, but at that point in time, and I'm talking about 1994 when I passed out my class 12. Um, you know, Being a hotel management student was unheard of, and I didn't even know that a course like this existed, where you can really do a professional course to do hotel school or hotel management. So being little, my dreams were little. As I joined hotel school, I think the dreams grew a bit larger. Every day it kind of just increased, but what helped me to just keep going was that something better is coming.
Do you know Chef Vijay Kumar? He just got a Michelin star in New York City for South Indian restaurant Sema.
Yes, and I do know of him. I don't know him, but these guys in New York, Sujan Sarkar recently got as well. So Sujan and I work together. There's another chef called Chintan Pandya. So he's very well known to me as well. So we are kind of birds of the same feather, flocking differently.
Well, Chef Vijay, he was on the podcast earlier. He had the same dream. He got admission to culinary school first. And so then his dad said, okay, then just go do that. And it worked out well for him. It worked out well for you.
Similar stories, I think, yes.
Yeah. Did you ever think, yeah, maybe I should be a doctor? Or did you feel like, no, that's just not me?
Yeah, for once, when I was studying, my 12th, I think 11th, I recently came across, and I'm not joking, I recently came across one chemistry book from that time. I don't know from where I dug that out. And it actually, I have written that Dr. Ajay Chopra. There's a dream. I think it was just that time.
It's very much, I was born in the States. My parents came from India the year before I was born. And it's definitely here an immigrant culture thing. Everyone I know from all different ethnicities that their parents came, they told their kids, we came to this country, so you go be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And then later they said you could also be a pharmacist or IT. They added that on later. And I did the opposite of all of that. And I went into advertising, public relations, and it was shocking for everybody because nobody had ever heard of anything like that as a career, which I ended up not doing. I ended up going to seminary, and I ended up doing so many other things. So
wow,
I think that, yeah, and especially for being a woman, it was also more interesting. So I'm always encouraged when I hear stories of other people who don't go in this expected path. Did your friends all end up being doctors and engineers, or did they find it weird or difficult to understand why you would do something different?
Well, to be honest, I think, I don't know much about the friends that I had in school because I'm not in touch with them. I do know that my distant relatives always had a thing to say about me that, what are you doing? Hotel management. What are you going to become? You're going to become a cook. That's what people said. but I just went going. I just kept going. And I think that's the motto of my life, really. Just keep going.
Did you have any struggles with honoring your parents as you were driving towards your future?
Yes, to be honest, yes. My mom wasn't very sure of what I was doing. And, in fact, not just these are simple words that I just said. She was not sure for me, but at the same point of time, she was very angry with me that I was going and doing this. I just told my dad that I've not got selected in any other thing. And this is the only thing I've got selected in. And trust me, I don't think I can do much at that time because I was not a great guy. And I told my dad, I said, listen, I think I can do this. Will you trust me? And he said, yes. So I just went ahead.
And I think too often our worth is measured in our academics, but I feel like academics doesn't mean smart, right? We can be smart in so many different ways. You don't have to memorize this table or these statistics or these facts to be smart. And obviously, if you were not smart, you wouldn't be where you are today, because it's like you were given these opportunities and you made the most of those opportunities.
Actually, no, I was quite dumb. I was quite dumb. I was quite a slow guy. I was an introvert. I could not speak much. All the opposites that you see of me today. And it's like a flower which blossomed at a point in time of life. For me, I grew up in small cities. I wasn't exposed to many things in life, but when I went to college, from there on, I think I had come to Christ just before going to college. And I think it was God's plan for me to take me through this, this whole avenue and this journey. And sometimes, even if you look in the Bible, that you see the Israelites were taken into a journey of 40 years. God gave them an option that the journey is 11 days, but they chose to be disobedient and went around 40 years. But out of those 40 years journey came a Joshua, right? So I think I also see myself as that person where a Joseph or a Joshua came out of those, those journeys because God was teaching something to them, but they were learning. All those who were not learning died in the desert, right? So I think that's what my story is, that, when God was teaching me, I was humbling me, and he was taking me through this journey where I was getting badgered and beaten up and just hard work all the way, and 18-hour days and all the possible things that you can think of, where you would not feel successful, in whatever you do, but you just keep going. And at that point in time, you start seeing a ray of hope and things start to come about. And I think MasterChef was one gift from God that just changed everything for me. We had a training for 3.5, 4 months where we had vocal sensory trainings where we were taught how to speak, how to modulate your voice, how to see in the camera, how to see people, how to catch emotions, all of that. We were taught that. And I think I use that as a learning as well. And, I use it in my daily living, and it helps me.
Tell me the story of MasterChef. How did that even come about for you? What were you doing in your career at that point when MasterChef came into your life?
All right, so I think I'll just go back a few years, not more. So I was the executive chef at Mintleaf Restaurant in London, and Amrita was pregnant with Ashish, and suddenly developed a little bit of a complication where we did not get quite a lot of support from NHS. And we realized as Indians that, in India, you can just go to a hospital or a doctor and just get yourself treated. But here, you got to wait for your turn. Hey, that doesn't work for us. We're not born like that. We're not, tuned like that. So we decided to come back. I came back as the executive chef of Goa Marriott Resort. And one day I was just sitting in my office, and one guy comes with there's a thing called KOT, kitchen order ticket. So an old KOT, which was, oily and smudgy, and he just wrote a number and somebody's name on it. He said, "Chef, there was a call for you." I looked at it as some media company. So I called my marketing lady and I said, "There's some call which came from this production house. Just speak to them. What do they want?" And then after an hour, she came running and said, "Chef, MasterChef is coming to India." I said, "Great. What do I do?" "They want to use a judge." Like, "Oh, wow. Okay, let's talk." So I think that's where it started. There was an audition from there on. And, God had made a way. Because if you look at me, Jess, I mean, I don't look great. In terms of my
You
physical
and Gordon
body.
You and Gordon Ramsay are like twins. I don't know what you're saying.
I don't know what you're saying, but I consider myself in Indian television scenario. They kind of look at the looks and how you look and how fat you are or tall you are and whatever. So I thought to myself, me, I mean, me, I was like Gideon, like me, like Lord, me, can you use me? And then he said yes, and I think that's where the journey began. I think every year was very different because we were exposed to a different lifestyle altogether, a different thought process altogether. But what I did was I did not leave my culinary, wings with my media wings. I kind of stuck with it. I was still, I from Goa Marriott, I moved to the Westin in Mumbai as the executive chef. 4.5 years I worked there. So season 2 I finished, and then MasterChef didn't happen for me, but other TV programs happened. But simultaneously, I was trying to do two things. And then when I came out, I realized that, God has done something here. We need to continue to kind of nurture it and take it forward. So I think this is how MasterChef came, and MasterChef has changed our lives.
And is it still recording?
Yeah, so it's an OTT platform now called Sony Live. So they've just finished season 8. I had gone there for one episode. There are new judges that they had taken, just like MasterChef Australia, they've got new judges. So India also has got new judges.
I got to work in the US. We have a show called Chopped. And in that show, I got to work on the culinary team. And that was my first exposure. Before that, when I worked as a personal chef, we have live news shows at our cities and their stations. And a lot of these shows will have a 5-minute cooking segment where they'll bring somebody in to show a demonstration. So that was my first exposure cooking live on TV. And I was like, wow, look at God. He gave me, I've always wanted my own cooking show, and I get 5 minutes every month to do this. Nobody pays me, but I get to do this, which is kind of like a dream from like 20 years ago. And then I got the call to work on Chopped. Manit Chauhan is the judge here for Chopped, a regular judge, and she's in Tennessee. She's 4 hours away in Nashville, and there's a bunch of South Asians that are in the culinary world that are connected with each other. So she knew who I was and said, oh, would you want to come and work? Because they're shooting in Tennessee. And I said, this is amazing. I would love to do that. And it was so neat to see what goes on behind the scenes. And then people will ask me, do they really only have that many minutes? I'm like, yes, they really only have that many minutes. Do they really not know what the secret ingredients are? Correct. They really don't know. And so I've seen MasterChef in the US and how difficult it is. When you are watching the contestants, are you feeling that angst and that pressure that they're going through as they're trying to make these meals?
Yes, I think it's very real because the format of the show is like that. And I think when from the 100 you go to the 50, from 50 you go to the final 12, and I think those final 12, when it happens, you kind of get a connect with each one because it's a smaller group, and then you're kind of rooting for this person or that person, and that this guy can do this. Come on, you can do it. It's like that feeling that you're not wanting to help him, yet you want to help him. So you're just like, come on, can you not see your bread is burning? Come on, do this. So that kind of yeah, it's very exciting.
Your other big thing, Big Daddy Chef, tell me the philosophy behind it. Why is it that you want to encourage men to cook?
Men who cook are the men who are loved, right? I mean, so that's a very, very deep thought. You got to think about it, what I just said, and meditate on it. So men who cook are men who are loved. Primarily, the reason why the Big Daddy Chef word came about is because hey, I'm big, I'm a daddy, I'm a chef. But it wasn't for me that I had thought that, this word Big Daddy Chef should be. It's for all those people who become the chef superheroes, because for me, superheroes just don't wear capes, they wear aprons. And why? Children all across the world, they are so busy with so many things attracting them, whether it's mobile phones, whether it's PS5s and things like that, which just catch their attention, and they're just there, and human time is becoming lesser and lesser and lesser. Now, if I tell my son that, hey, let's go for this game, he'll say, I'll go, you wait. But if I say, let's cook these pork chops, he's going to be like, what can I do, daddy?
Mm-hmm.
you know
Yeah.
so
Aw.
I think that is one thing that the dad son dad daughter bonding can be really really worked upon. The other thing is that one of my friends had gone there for lunch, and the daughter is about 15, 16 years old, and on a Sunday afternoon, she's like, okay dad, bye, I'm going for a party with my friends, I'll be back late in the night. Nothing unusual, but the dad said, hey, I'm cooking pasta tonight. She drops her bag and says, okay, which pasta? And she drops a plan. So this thing told me something, that when dads cook, they are a hook.
Mm.
Again, I'm being very poetic about it. When dads cook, they're a hook. They kind of hook the whole family together. The third thing is that women all across the world, they still looked at, hey, will you fix dinner for me? I mean, especially in India for sure. I don't know about the US, how does it work, but maybe in Indian homes in the US, it still works like that. But the men look at the woman and say, can you fix me dinner or breakfast or whatever? My question, which book does it say that only women should cook?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which book? I'm a man. All the chefs in all the hotels, restaurants, everybody's a man. We can cook. So don't say you can't cook. And if you say you don't know how to cook, I'll teach you. I've
Mm-hmm.
got a channel. I've got a book. Get a hold of it. Let's cook together. It's not very difficult. So I make simple recipes, easy recipes on my YouTube channel. The only reason is that people can get a hang of it, that hey, it's not difficult. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
This looks simple. I can do that. So I think that's the whole idea of Big Daddy Chef Cookbook, and also to give women a day off. So me and Amrita have a pact. Sunday evenings is my day in the kitchen. However tired I am, however much traveled I am, but Sunday evenings is mine. I think Ashish, me and Akshat just are in the kitchen. We love our time together, and we try and cook something different every Sunday. So
Mm.
it gives her a bit of a break, a mental break. And so being a chef, I have no problem. So I'm with her in the kitchen, even in the mornings, helping, the tiffin boxes to be packed or whatever. And I've heard Ashish's friends tell me that your dad cooks some amazing stuff here. So that's, I mean, Ashish, how do you feel when your boys say this? You feel good? If he doesn't get his food, his tiffin boxes are stolen.
Oh no.
So that's reality check right here.
That's how good the food is.
Yeah. So I think that's what is the emotion of a family. And if all the dads start thinking like this, I think there'll be a different bonding in the whole family. There will be a different atmosphere in the whole family. And I think God loves families. God wants families. And God wants families to live together, to stay together, to have a laugh together, to cook together. For the men who aren't married, if they cook for their to-bes or fiancés, I think they find it very interesting.
So I find, when I'm mostly on your wife's page more than yours, because yours is more focused on Instagram on cooking. But she very much honors you and brags about you. I think I've seen some vacation pictures. So it's very much a loving marriage that we see on this side, or as people say, hashtag marriage goals. Did you capture her with your food?
I think one thing about Amrita is that she is very experimental, just like me. So wherever we go, we try new cuisines. Our children have become like that as well. So I think Ashish, when he was 7 years old, he had an oyster. Yeah, and he loves to try different stuff. So he doesn't have a problem. When he was 5 years old, we were in Goa, and he said, "Can I have prawns for breakfast?" And I actually shunned him off and said, "Who eats prawns for breakfast?" So this year, he actually had prawns for breakfast.
Aw,
So I think
that's
food is something that, as a family, we all enjoy.
how did you both get married? Did you
Well,
have a
thank you.
love marriage?
Thank you for that comment. And thank you for that expression about Amrita and how you saw her. Yes, it's not a love marriage. It's a God arranged marriage. A very truly God arranged marriage, because I was not praying about it at all. Amrita was praying for a marriage. I was 29, and I had told my parents and my brother that, hey, just get me married. And my brother, he was very adamant about the fact, because my parents were not saved till that time. My eldest brother was saved before me, and he was very adamant that you will only marry a Christian girl. I was like, okay, yes, for sure. So he gave a matrimonial ad, and Amrita's dad, who actually devours the newspaper every single day, A to Z, never ever ever reads the matrimonial. But that day he picks up the matrimonial and he sees the ad, and then Amrita's mom was in fortunately at that day in Delhi, and we live in Faridabad, which is close to Delhi. And so he calls Amrita's mom and says that there's an ad, I want you to go and meet the family. And that's where it all starts to happen, and then we get married.
Yeah, that's great. I say the same story too, where when I got engaged, I was in charge of our church youth ministry. And when my husband and I were originally talking, and we were long distance writing letters, when we announced we were getting married, all my youth were shocked. They're like, wait, when did this happen? We missed the whole thing. And is it arranged? And then I said, yeah, God arranged it. We happened to meet at a missions conference, but it was 20,000 people at this conference.
Oh,
and
wow.
We both happened to be at this one same meeting. And we both are Malayali from the Marthama Church, but not like he was in Illinois, I was in New York. So we would never cross paths unless it was a big and there it was. And then we happened to meet.
People, huh? And that's like a whole little word there, and
Yes.
God brings both of you together. Wow. It's amazing.
We could not plan. This is before cell phones, before well, there was a little email. So we could not have orchestrated this any better. So we have to point to God, because what other choice do we have? Like, there's no other way it would have happened.
Yeah, so, that's right.
That's so great to hear that. In the US, there's a TV show. It's a fictional show called The Bear. And in this show, it's the behind the scenes of a family restaurant. And for those not in the culinary world, when they watched this show, they started to understand how difficult the restaurant life is. Some people think, oh, you're a good cook, you should open a restaurant. And they have no idea everything else that's needed. You have to be a good business person, a good manager of personalities. You have to be good at accounting. You have to be good at taking care of your employee. There's so many aspects to it. And it's only in the past couple of years, when this show came out, people in America started understanding. People have even said that to me. Oh, I love your food. You should open a restaurant. I'm like, no way. I know how much work goes into opening a restaurant. I will be a private chef, personal chef, and I'll do small dinner parties, but not catering or anything, because I know my limitations. Have you ever thought, you know what, maybe I want something simpler where I do private chefing and that's my thing? Because I feel like a hospitality company is enormous, like the weight of it.
It is. And you asked the question just at the right time, because, we are expanding. And I think God's given Isaiah 56 to us as a church, where, stretch your tents, lengthen your cords, deepen your stakes. And, when this happens to, individuals, it means that, it's a time where it's a time and a season where God is going to show you something different that you can do. Now, if Amrita and I both had a choice, we would open a restaurant in Goa, a 40-seater restaurant, and, we will just chill out and serve only 40 people in a day and relax. But I guess, I am also a person who is also, always wanting to do more and do things. And so I guess that might happen in another 8-9 years from now.
Different season of life.
But as of now, I think, you're right about saying that running a hospitality company is definitely not something that, we envision that will have so much of work in it. But it is the greatest detail that goes into opening a restaurant. It's the greatest detail in making a menu. It's the greatest detail in getting the staffing, organizing a kitchen, drawing it up. So there are like 1,000 factors that come to play together. You're right that a lot of people, you just enter into this industry because they think that they can cook well. I used to tell my chefs who would report to me that I am your executive chef, not because I've been given this throne, right? But I'm your executive chef because I can cook faster than you, better than you. I can cook more elaborate than you. I can cook regional food. I can cook international food. I can cost that food out. I can also make menus. I can also speak to customers, and I can also handle a team of 100 people. And I'm a great manager and I'm a great chef. If you have all these qualities, come take my seat. If you don't, then work towards it, right? So I think it's a journey that today people are forgetting that I must travel this journey to get where I have to. It's like almost like 5-6 years I've worked hard enough. I should become an executive chef. But will that organization be great with you as an executive chef? Is another question to ask. Will you be adding value and experience to your employer? Is a question to ask.
Like I said, I mean, if you're growing and expanding, come to Tennessee. We'd love to have you here.
Yeah, only if it was 4 hours away, 3 hours away, if you could think of. But the problem with US is that one restaurant, and we said no because getting people is a definite challenge.
Yeah, I've heard that because I've also asked other renowned chefs in the bigger cities, bring it to Tennessee, and that universally that's what they say. It is the staffing that's the most difficult to reproduce the exact recipes that you're creating, the environment, the heart of like what you're, because it's not just a job, right? This is hospitality is a ministry to take care of people, right?
Very true. Very true.
It is the bite that you eat, but it's the whole environment.
Yeah.
This is a question I ask all my guests. Do you have a curry leaf plant?
Do I have a curry leaf plant in the house? Yes, because Amrita loves gardening. You must have seen that in your Instagram things that, So we have a mini garden, very mini, very little. Bombay, Mumbai becoming shorter and shorter in terms of spaces. So we have a small little flower bed where we got curry leaf. But why did you ask that question?
In the US, this is the mark of a true Indian. Even though if we were born here, raised here, you have really embraced your identity if you can make a good cup of chai and if you have a curry leaf plant. So all my guests, I have very few guests outside of the country, but here.
If that is your passport to being Indian, I think that's great.
Because even for me, I don't know, I only speak English. My parents didn't speak to us in Malayalam, so I don't speak Malayalam. I live in the country, in the mountains here. I never dress up in Indian clothes. We don't have any Indians around us. Only things I can say is I can make a good Kerala mean curry, and I have a curry leaf plant, and I can make chaya, and I can teach you how to make chaya. So that's how I'm embracing my Indian identity.
There you go. There you go. And as we speak, I'm having curry leaf water.
I don't know what that is. What does that mean? I've never heard of that.
It's a good digestive. So just boil some curry leaves with some cumin and have that water all day long.
I've heard there's other places where they boil fennel seeds in the water. What's the difference between that and cumin?
You could do 7 days, 7 different waters. These are all detox waters. Yeah. So you could use cumin and coriander one day. You could use curry leaf and cumin one day. You could use cumin and fennel one day. You can use fennel only one day. You could use cinnamon one day. And each one has their own thing that they would do to your body. So cinnamon helps you to lower your cholesterol. Cumin and coriander reduce the bloating. And curry leaf is a natural soother inside your body.
I had no idea. I thought it just makes the food taste good. Now I have to go and try that as well. If you had to choose your favorite beverage, what would it be? Would it be coffee, chai, tea? Like, what's your beverage of choice if you want to, I just want to sip on something to relax?
Chai, and only chai. Yeah.
Do you put any spices?
I have different moods and different chai. So if it's raining, then it has to be green cardamom and fennel. If it is cold, then it has to be ginger, cloves, and some mint leaves. And if it's normal summer, then just chai.
In the US, some people have iced chai. Have you had that? What is your opinion of having iced chai?
Iced tea is popular, so iced chai is iced tea. But if it's milk and iced chai, then I'm not sure. Yeah. I've not had that. No.
I've not had it either. I'm scared. I'm like, that doesn't feel natural to me.
But in Thailand also you have the similar kind of chai. It's iced chai.
That's true. Thai iced tea. And I do like
Yeah.
that, except it's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
Based on what you know now about your life and the way it's gone, what would you, if you can go back in time, what would you say to 17, 18-year-old Ajay about your life?
Difficult question. Be less angry because I was a very angry man, angry boy as well. Be more focused and be more loving.
Those are good. That's good advice. You've encountered different things that were handed to you that you didn't expect or plan for, but you still had to make bold choices about it. If there are listeners who are hesitant about making bold choices for themselves, what would you say to them?
We all have choices. I always now look at it with the lens of the Bible, where Moses said, choose good, choose life, and choose evil, choose death. So, firstly, the choices that we make have to be through this lens because that gives us a survival identity that who we are, right? It's not about how righteous I am or how good I am, but it's basic. Because if everybody starts seeing this word through that lens, then everybody is doing good, and then evil is lesser. The second choice that one has to make is, for example, now, Sundays I made a choice that I will not work. Even if it means losing business, will not work. I'm making now a choice that few days of the week, like for example, I'm a house group leader in the church. I don't want to pick up any outbound travel jobs on a Friday. Saturday is generally our church leaders meeting, so I don't want to travel on Saturday either. Sunday's church. And I'm trying that, if I can also set apart Mondays for me and Amrita. But again, I'm making an effort towards it. And these are the choices that I'm making. Now, what do those choices mean to me and my business? Obviously, lesser me. How does it impact? Impacts everything. How do we do it? God's grace. I think choices make all the difference. So with the choices we make, decide who we are and what we do. Bold choices are choices which are done, according to me, with three things in your mind. Now, if you'd asked me 10 years back, I would have said, take a step of faith and just go for it. But today, I mean, those choices have to be evaluated. If it's giving you worth of what you have to do, if it's worth your while, as well as you see God in it, then go for it.
Thank you so much for sharing about your life and your work and your family. And it's so inspirational to think about the ways that you're empowering the next generation of men. I have two sons. I have a daughter too, but when I grew up, my parents had said, you really need to learn how to cook so you can get married. And I said, well, I guess I'm never getting married because I'm not going to learn how to cook for that purpose. And then as it turns out to be my new hobby and kind of like my side hustle here. But one of my goals in parenting was to make sure all three of my children knew how to cook for themselves to eat healthy food instead of fast food and unhealthy things, but then also cooking for the purpose of serving others so that they feel comfortable having people come to their homes, giving them a nice meal and taking care of them. And now my kids are all in their 20s and they live on their own. And this is exactly what they do. So for me, that feels like a win of like, this was one of my parenting goals and it had to do with food, but it doesn't have to do with food. It has to do with people and loving them. And I see you're kind of pouring this into the next generation as well, especially your goal with raising men to do this for their families. So thank you for normalizing everybody can cook and it's not hard and it takes care of people.
That's right.
So thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. If people are listening, how can they find you?
Well, all of you can find me on my YouTube channel, which is at Chef Ajay Chopra, my Instagram channel, which is also at Chef Ajay Chopra, my Facebook channel, which is also at Chef Ajay Chopra. I've just kept life simple. And my Twitter handle is Chef Ajay Chopra because that was the first thing I created after MasterChef. So MasterChef Ajay Chopra was Chef Ajay Chopra. So if you want to find me on Twitter, it's at the rate Chef Ajay Chopra. Please send me DMs. I'll be more than happy to answer all your DMs. And if there's a request for me to cook something for you, I'll do that. Guess what? I'm starting an English YouTube channel very soon. So for a lot of friends in the US are asking that, we love your videos, but we can't understand anything.
So I'm one of them.
Yeah. So this is going to be an English dubbed videos, although we started to transcript the videos already recently. but we're also going to do the dubbing videos very, very soon. So look forward to that.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for taking time to talk to us today on Being Brown and Bold.
Pleasure's all mine, Jess. God bless you.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us on this podcast. We will be right back next time to drop a new episode. Till then, be wise and be bold.